Thad Brown along with Dan Fates here at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Bills fall to the Patriots 24-12. And Dan, in a lot of ways, this was the typical Josh Allen game. Some good throws, fans arguing about whether or not some plays were drops, whether they were Josh Allen's fault or they weren't his fault. At the end of the day, numbers weren't good, and there's an L on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and this just seemed like Bill Belichick at its finest, drafting up plays and really confusing Josh. I know he said that nothing was too fast for him after the game, but it just looked like he was kind of that duck sitting on the water with his feet moving way too quickly underneath it. He just looked a little confused, a little off, and some throws were not even close, where I was wondering, who was he throwing to? He missed a couple balls very high. He had missed a back shoulder throw to Zay Jones in the end zone. Just was a little bit off today after we had seen a couple of steps forward. This seemed like a big step back.
Had a couple of weird plays, too. There was a drop with Isaiah McKenzie early in the game that was a blatant drop, but then a deep ball down the field seemed like Robert Foster lost it in the sun. There was a fourth down play at the end of the first half. Foster came back inside. I think a lot of people are calling this play a drop. I don't think so, because it's called a back shoulder throw.
Right.
So the throw should be here. Well, if the throw's over there, it's not back shoulder. Doesn't mean Foster can't make the play, but there is reason to say, okay, that's a little bit on Josh, too. And let's talk about these receivers. I think maybe 3-4 weeks ago, we were thinking Zay Jones improving. Well, Jones had a bagel until it was garbage time today. Robert Foster improving. Didn't really make a play. We're not killing him for him, but didn't make a play. Logan Thomas had an opportunity. No, sir. Jason Kroom a fumble. Is there anyone?
The list goes on and
exactly.
on and on today.
Is there anyone from this receiver group that you feel like is still salvageable?
And not. Yes, salvageable, yes. One game's not going to make me throw in the towel on these guys, but Lorenzo Alexander said it great after the game. We need to be consistent. They're a young team, but they need to grow up. He said we need to grow up. And when he said that, that resonated with me. As a veteran guy like he is, you can deal with some rookie mistakes. You understand that. But it's starting to get to the point where they're happening over and over again. There's drops. There's miscommunication we've seen a couple times with Josh. And I feel like Josh always gets the benefit of the doubt because he's the number 7th overall pick and they're going to defend their guy. But you got to start just making plays and consistently making plays. While there would have been some great catches like, you know, the Zay Jones back shoulder or the one to Logan Thomas, you got to make them. That's why you're there. You got to be a playmaker, and Josh is trying to give his guys a chance to make plays. They've just got to come down with the ball.
I think that there are still chances for guys like Robert Foster, but this is part of the growing cycle. You're going to have games or have seasons and months where have a good game, have a not so good game. At some point, that has to get out of their system. I mean, the Bills cannot live with receivers like this, but I think Foster, Zay Jones.
Coaches are going to game plan against Robert Foster's now deep ball. Now that they know they have a guy that can take the top off, okay, they're going to adjust too. As more tape comes out on them, they're going to need to play that cat and mouse game of making adjustments on their own.
Defensively, this team is pretty veteran-laden, but I think the losses of Matt Milano and Taron Johnson, who aren't veterans but they're very good players, kind of showed up today in the run game. Doesn't mean that you don't give the Patriots credit or there's some things that criticize the Bills about, but this was not the Bills' run defense we saw all season long.
No, and it was shocking to hear Jordan Poyer after the game say, we game planned all week to stop the run. We knew they were going to run the ball at us. That's when we knew they were going to attack us. And he still couldn't stop it. That was the most puzzling thing. And we asked him about it and said, what was it about the jet sweep? And they all kind of said it was a bunch of little things, but they really couldn't put their finger on it. And they credited them to the way that they schemed. But it was a bunch of missed tackles. It was bad angles. It was bad fundamentals. It was assignments. A whole bunch of stuff led to a very confusing game where Tom Brady only throws for 126 yards, and you still get gashed for nearly 400 total yards because they ran it down their throats.
Tom Brady, to me, looked more confused than Josh Allen did at a lot of times today. And that's the thing with this run defense. It's a gap scheme where you want to have every member of the front seven in a gap. So end has a gap, tackle, linebacker, all the way through. If one guy's out of position, the play blows up every single time. It has to be disciplined. It has to be every play. And I think the Bills and you at home saw what happens when that goes wrong today. All of you out there, have a great holiday and a Merry Christmas. To Dan, you the same. Thanks for helping out today. We've got a lot more fun Bills coverage here at RochesterFirst.com. For Dan, I'm Thad at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough.